Hello, everyone, and welcome to the About Healing podcast. This is a show created for those on or awakening into their spiritual journeys who are ready, wanting, and learning how to heal themselves. I'm your host, Sheree Buckman, medium and spiritual healer. Join me as I share my unfiltered perspective in healing, creating a place of love and understanding for all, reminding us that we are in this life together and never alone in our struggles. To learn more about me and my purposeful work, visit my website at shereebuckman.com. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back, everyone. Hello, Copper.
Hello, Sheree. I'm really excited about this episode.
I know. Can you believe it? Not only is this our third and final episode of the Holiday Healing series, but this is the final episode of season 1.
Get it?
I feel like I need to have some sound effects here. This is a big moment.
It is. Maybe I'll put some clapping in.
Right? Yay! Well, this is a big moment, and I'm really excited about that. And we'll get into that more at the end of this episode because we want to say our farewell. But I first want to start by getting into and completing this third episode of the Holiday Healing series. So the previous 2 weeks, we have journeyed through the healing of our past and present selves. We went through and we were understanding where and who we have been and are, and then realizing that we have the power to change if we choose. So today, we are going to discuss and focus on our future healing, because that is the focus. It's the focus of all of this is about us and our healing. So here we go into the visit of the ghost of Christmas future. Don't worry, it's not spooky. It's just me, guys. Just like the other ones. I'm your ghost, or at least I am the one communicating for them as it filters through. So I want to begin this by, again, asking a question. That's what we've done in the previous episodes here. And I want to start with, and it is, what do you see for your future if you and your life remain as they are? So I believe this is the good transition coming in from the present, the Ghost of Christmas present from last episode, because we had to look at that of where you are and who you are and how you're living your life. So if you chose not to change anything and you didn't take any further action, what do you see for your future? Would it be dramatically different? Could you see it getting better, getting worse? It's just simple questions to ask yourself. There's no judgment here with this. This is just a way to bring attention to it and really learning and focusing on it. So if I were also to sit here and ask you, I think this is a great question, and I love this, and I love when you can focus on this. If there were no limitations or impossibilities, what would you want for your future? Or what would you want it to look like? Because you can break it down into all the different categories. And that's a big one. Like if you took away the limits of yourself or the limits that other people have imposed on you, like you can't do this because of this, A, B, C, D, fill in the blank. Or if you could make the impossible possible, really sit and focus on that. What about professionally? Think about it that way. Are you wanting advancement? Are you wanting a new career? Or maybe to create something new and different? Again, this is just kickstarting some of the ideas to get you moving and really digging deeper into this thought basis. What about your health? Physically, emotionally, mentally, any and all. Because whether it's continuing your healing journey or managing your weight, or it could be improving an illness or an ailment, which, by the way, stay tuned for next season because I'm going to get into more about that and how they are created, your illnesses and ailments, and how they can be reduced. See, little teaser I'm implanting here in the last episode of season 1. Or maybe it's minimizing the amount of stress and anxiety that you deal with on a daily basis. What about your personal relationships? Maybe it's your current ones and you're trying to figure out and how to put energy towards or strengthening those that you're currently in. Or if you're single, finding a new healthy partner. And I'm going to implant this here. Remember, you attract how you feel about yourself. And so if you're wondering, again, go looking at your relationships or your past relationships, wondering why you keep attracting the same type of person, remember, you are the one attracting that. It's how you feel about yourself is what you will attract. I'm just putting it out there to really look at the big picture and to be a little honest with ourselves there. Or maybe it's just to have more meaningful friendships. What about your living situation? Or your finances? Or the time you spend? Or more travel? Or self-care? Or fill in the blank. But I really want you to really get deep into this and think about all of the possibilities. What is all of it? What are all the things that you want? Because I'm not just going to leave you here and say that this is beautiful and you're drawing these beautiful pictures and then leave you with that, not knowing what to do with it, because we all have dreams. But creating that is a different beast. It really is. And that's what I want to talk to you about. That is what this episode is about. It is about looking at and creating, or really it's just about, first of all, thinking and knowing and finding what it is that you want for yourself as a whole internally of how you want to think or be or feel, or what you want material, or how you want to spend your time and who you want to spend your time with. So once you have some of those ideas, you need 3 things to actually begin creating it. And it is get a pen and pencil, or I'm sorry, pen and paper, or a pencil and paper, not a pen and pencil. I don't know what you would do with just those writing in the air, but right. Piece of paper, because I want you to really think about this. I want you to write it down and I want you to see it. The 3 things are honesty, accountability, and action. You cannot change or create something if you are not being honest with yourself, because you have to go in, just like we spoke about in the last episode in the present, you have to be honest about your thought process, your thoughts, the choices you've made, the words you speak. It's the whole package. Because when you start being honest with yourself, then you can start being accountable for those. And this is a massive foundation of what you need for change. This is a massive foundation in healing in general too, because we cannot move on if we can't have those 2 pieces, honesty and accountability, because you create your life. You always have. You always have. But now we're getting into a new space of understanding how truly powerful you are in creating something different. We're going to let go of the old traumas. We see exactly where we are now and what we want to change. And now we're focusing on creating something new and different for ourselves. So we have honesty and accountability, big pieces. But now to create the future, it does require action. Because we can sit here and decide what we do want, and we can write it down and we can put it on a board and wish for it to come, which is great. And manifesting is a beautiful thing. But truly manifesting and creating it requires action too. And I've always loved this, and I've put it out there before. It is like trying to grow a plant. You have to decide where you want it, the pot or the place that you want to plant it. You need to get the seed, and you need to actually dig it into the ground and plant it. But then you need to take care of it and nurture it, water it, give it sun, fertilize it when it needs to, and then you allow it to grow. And that takes time. It doesn't happen immediately. It's the same thing with creating and manifesting the things that you want. And so what a perfect timing to talk about this, because the new year is upon us. This is where most of us do begin in creating our new future, or we plan about the things and we are creating resolutions, which are great in setting goals, but we need to adjust it slightly. We need to set intentions, because that has a greater force of manifesting real change. So the other piece of this is, as you are creating and deciding what it is you want to manifest or change, you have to create and do this in small steps, because the small steps are your greatest method of creating lasting change. This is why most people who set a resolution come January 1st, it peters out by February 1st?
Easily.
March?
February.
Right? Right. We have these big plans. We set these really big goals I am going to start going to the gym. I'm going to do this every day. First off, if you are one who never really went to the gym in the first place, that's a really big change all at once, which is really hard to maintain if you're doing something so big all at one time. And so this is what this is. I'm going to give you all this perfect, beautiful exercise to get you going to, instead of doing a New Year's resolution, I want you to set New Year's intentions. But it's not even about the new year. It's like the new me intention. Oh, I like that. This is what this is. The new me intention. And it's a journal exercise. Yeah, guys. Journal, 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 journal. I'm telling you, journaling is writing things down has a huge impact on how you see and understand things. Because when you can see it written down rather than just in your head, it brings a more concrete idea. You can see bigger pieces about it. You're going to start by writing this phrase. By this time next year, I ... I want you to fill in the blank. I want you to get kind of specific in here. What it is do you want to achieve, to change, to create, accomplish? Now, if you have many things, I want you to create a separate page for each of them. And this can be unlimited. I don't care if you have a dozen things that you want to change, but it's all of them, even the small things. Absolutely, even the small things. Even if it is, I want to have more positive thoughts for myself this year. I want to build my self-esteem, to see myself in a different light. That is beautiful. And you're going to create one just for that. And you're going to do one for each piece. So underneath each intention, I want you to break down that item that you want into small steps on how to get there. Right? It's a step-by-step list. And I want you to brainstorm. Even if you don't know what it is, that could be an item on a list. Find out how to do this. Find out how to get this. That is a step in itself. Because when you can start to come up with an actual plan, you can start making a list and steps to go down. Again, if you're anything like me and you like to cross things out, you got to do it first to cross it out. So I want to give you an example. This is my own personal example. By this time next year, I want to finish writing and publish my book. Well, step one. First, I've already started it. So it's already started. I've already done the beginning work. So my step one here is to create and make time to write. It's not going to write itself. I can wish in one hand, but it is not going to get done unless I start doing something. Another thing for me is accountability coaches. This is one of those items I am already filling because I have just announced this to my listeners. Therefore, I need to start being accountable because people know that I'm actively doing this now. I kind of did this on purpose. I'm trying to fuel a fire. So feel free, if this is something you're excited about, feel free to email me and annoy me and say, hey, how are you doing on your writing? You can help be my accountability coaches. Copper's one of them. She gives me some too. And I do have a few others. But you know what? The more the merrier. It might help me get through it faster. Well, and then another thing on my list is I need to look at editing. You know, it has to be edited. I'm not a perfect writer. Holy cow. And I wanted to get it professionally done. And then I need to look at publishing, how I want to do the publishing. Where do I want to get it published? And then I need to look at the costs. What's associated in here? I got to find that out. And then I need to set a date. This is a goal. And I think this is important for everybody too. Well, we already have it by this time next year, right? But sometimes when we set that goal, it is fantastic and keeps us going and something to work towards. But the important part here is to, when you're setting a goal for yourself, is to allow it to be flexible. Sometimes we create more stress for ourselves by not giving ourselves more flexibility. Because life happens. There are things that happen that we have to deal with, and it's okay if things have to adjust. Like this book. The goal was to get it done this year. That did not happen. This podcast, everything's changing and growing. Yes, that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it, but it will be done. I'm still working on it.
I think it's very common to put those unrealistic goals on yourself before you really start researching the process of what it takes to do. Like it was very easy. I'm not to toot your own horn, but well, I would be tooting your horn, I guess. But But I can say from watching you go through this process that when you're like, oh, I'm going to write this book, I don't know, then you're like, oh, I'm going to have it available on June or January 1st or whatever. I think the original goal was to have it ready by the 1-year anniversary of the podcast. But at that time, when you set that goal, I don't think you realized the process that it takes. Like, it's not an overnight thing. It's not a couple weekends, especially with the quality of the content that you're putting out. That takes time. Quality takes time. And you've realized that now. On top of everything else that has happened, I don't think you should, anyone, not just you, anyone should not beat themselves up for not meeting that original goal, because it needs to be flexible because things change.
Absolutely. And I love this. Absolutely. And it was one thing, at least within this, which is actually my next point to get to, and I'm glad I'm doing this with my example, was with that flexibility, not just in your goals, but allow the ideas and your creations to take their own form. Because when I did sit down to start this, it was supposed to be something smaller. And I can't go small because that's just not where I'm at. And it started as a small thing and it turned out to bigger and bigger. But you know what? I don't think I would have actually started it thinking of it as a bigger thing. So it needed to start where it needed to be. So I'm letting you know that too, because it may not happen exactly the way you plan, but it can evolve into something even more beautiful or bigger than you can ever imagine. So be flexible with it. And honestly, last, you need to add this to your list, to the bottom of your list, is now do it. Do it. This takes conscious attention with your intention. This requires action. I have to actually do this. And you'll need to do that with each of your items. And it's a reminder. Now, with this exercise, I want you to keep them somewhere where you can see them. So whether you want to hang it on the wall somewhere where you can see it, or put it by your bedside, keep it on your desk, somewhere where you can see it often as a reminder of what your goal is. And when you remember that, go look at your list and start marking things off and doing it. And yes, this list can be adjusted and you can add to it. And yes, even if that 1 year mark comes around and it was not completed, dang it, you still did things and you are that much closer than you were before. Because
I think as long as you're moving forward, you're not failing.
That is absolutely true, because you're still taking steps in the right direction. So just remember that no matter your past or present, your future can be absolutely anything you want it to be. Anything. If you have big dreams, that can come true, but you have to create it and work towards it. Otherwise, it is just a stale goal that sits there if you're not doing the action required. Your excuses are only blocks that you create for yourself. That's why I gave myself an excuse earlier. I've been busy. Yeah, I have. Can I have probably put some time in there and created, 10-minute blocks, 15-minute blocks? Yeah, I could have. So I'm not going to give myself the excuse that I've been so busy that I couldn't write a sentence, because that's not true. That was my excuse. So do not let money, age, your age. You are never too old to start anything, nor ever too young to do anything either. I want you to know that, because you can change and create and still do anything that you want. And don't let time or your fear of doing it or change or not getting it get the best of you. Because the future is coming no matter what. 1 year from now will happen with or without your excuses. So where would you like to see yourself then? This was how I got through college. It was my way of how I finished my degree. Was, you know what? 4 years are coming whether I like it or not. Do I want to end 4 years exactly where I am, just doing random jobs, waitressing and things like that? Or do I want to finish this and start living and doing and working in a career that I want, that is fulfilling? It's just an example of the way to see the future that's coming. Just to bring it all together with our healing series, just know that your past, you cannot change the past, but you can learn from it. The present, the power to change only exists now. And the future has not happened, so create it. This is the end of the holiday healing series. So now I want to go into the farewell of our season 1, because first and foremost, I have to express my extreme gratitude here for this entire experience. There's so much. It feels like getting an award, and I need to say all my thank yous, and I have my big list here, and I have to say thank you to my fans because I couldn't be here without you. Okay, you're not my fans, you're my listeners. But that is actually the truth. This would not keep going without the beautiful support I have from my listeners. I also have to put huge gratitude to Katie for helping me start this journey and then encouraging me to keep going and do this on my own. And mostly, it's also for my copper. Because you have pushed me to keep growing and pushing and pushing and pushing, you pusher, outside of my comfort zone to get even where we are now. So I am grateful for you to be in this experience with me, but also as my friend, to have you in my life the way that things are. And we have lived apart for so long, but it's a whole new beast now, and I love you.
We have lived apart more than we've lived together.
It's true. Yes, that's very true. You've been out of the country for a long time. I moved.
We were
into
friends
other
before.
States too.
Yeah, we were friends before we even lived near each other.
You're right. We had mutual friends, but we started talking on, I don't know, text or Facebook, and we were friends before we even officially met. So see, this was meant to be. She's one of my soul people. Yep. But also within season 1, this has been a growth year. Holy cow. And truly, I think that has been the theme of 2022 for me. Because it is not only starting the podcast and getting this going, and then the podcast, honestly, the show is taking on its own life, and it is growing, and we have so many more listens now. I think it's over a dozen countries listened to. But it's not just the podcast. This is personal growth too. You guys have all heard my journey from episode 1 coming into now, and how uncomfortable I was talking and speaking my truth and really getting things out there. I know, because it is so different now for me talking and getting going than what it was before. But I know it's not just for me. I've seen the growth in Copper, her getting out of her skin, her comfort zones, and growing. And I also know that it has been for our listeners. And thank you for your beautiful emails and your messages of how some of these messages and these episodes have inspired you or got to you. I appreciate you all. And because of all this is going to turn into something very different in season 2. So as you see, we just started weekly. That is going to continue into our season 2. And now we are deep into planning mode, into creating something bigger and deeper. We'll be going a lot deeper into season 2. And so stick with us, because we'll be back in a few weeks to start again. And I want to wish you all, no matter what you celebrate, the most beautiful, joyous time filled with love and laughter. And I pray for all of your healing as we continue to journey through this process together. Just remember, you are not alone. You are never alone. We are a community of bright, beautiful, living souls, and we've never been separate. We will continue to help each other get through this. We'll see you all next year. With so much love and gratitude, I want to thank you for listening to this week's episode. My hope today is that the message continues to guide you along your path to healing. You can find About Healing Podcast on Pandora, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, or any of your favorite places to listen in. Follow and share the podcast on Facebook and Instagram, where you can find healing guidance, quotes, tips, insights, and chances to win free stuff. To ask questions or share comments, email me at abouthealingpodcast@gmail.com, or feel free to always reach me on Facebook and Instagram. Until next time, be kind to yourself.